Alors, pourquoi? Bonjour. It is me. I am here. Preemptive. What the heck was that? Yeah, so I think my general, I've been planning it, I've been planning a little bit of a structure. So I figured we could talk about my feelings about it, and we could go through the plot. Um, just general a review of sorts. And then hopefully enough people might have turned up that we could talk about everybody else's thoughts and opinions on the movie. Hello, Akira. So, just bear with me. This is my first, because last time was a bit of more of a, what am I trying to say? It was impromptu. This time I feel like it's supposed to be more, we're supposed to have thought about it a bit. So this is me just working it out. This is second movie night stream ever. And today we're talking about Akira. So as I say, for those of you who are not familiar, so I figure what we'll do is we'll talk about the film and I'll kind of go through what I know about it and my opinions, because that's the boring part. And then we'll talk about what your opinions were, what you were thinking, if anything I'm saying doesn't make sense. And then we can obviously talk about cultural impact, the fact that the live action's never been made. It is stuck in what I believe is development hell. And just talk about the themes and stuff like that, and how everybody feels about it and its legacy and all that stuff. So I kind of had some talking points. I didn't want to be too structured on it, but I did want to kind of bring certain things up and kind of prompt conversation. But I think the best place to start is Akira is a 1988 film that was directed by Katsuhiro Otomo. I'm going to be bad at saying Japanese names. I apologize. It was actually a manga that was originally written by Otomo. It's his seminal work. So he created Akira and directed the movie. So yeah, just kind of add as you come. I believe for some people at least it was the first anime movie. So yeah, it is very famous because it kind of cemented the cyberpunk post-apocalyptic kind of vibes of 90s and 80s and 90s Japan. It kind of crystallized a feeling at the time, but yeah, it's there's a lot to it. So the manga that it's based on is 6 volumes, and each volume, it's out of the 6 volumes, there's a character that's associated with each of the volumes. So in the first volume it's Tetsuo, the second volume is Akira, and the third then it's Kei, the female resistance member, and then the final volume is Canada. A volume they're quite chunky. Let me just get a picture for you. So they're I don't know how long they are. They're several hundred pages. They're all in black and white. That's what I know about them. They're split into chapters. So apparently this is the manga that you can read the manga online. Oh, okay. So, for anybody who wants to read the manga, that's where you can find it online. Um, which is really cool. 106, yeah, so for a manga, it's like it was a limited run. Um, hey, Franco Boulder. Hey, Mr. Swanzik. Um, so the manga itself is quite extensive. It covers quite a big period of time. You'll notice that Akira is actually, if you're familiar with it, Akira in the manga is actually a character. He is one of the psychic children who feature in the movie. So I guess we'll start with the plot. I guess it's the best place to start. I'm gonna start with the plot. Um, no, not Akira Kurosawa, director of Seven Samurai. Not Akira Toriyama. We're talking. Who is Akira Toriyama? I'm googling a lot today. I'm breaking my own rules. He is the Dragon Ball artist, not him. No. Dragon Ball, no, not him. Sorry. No, we're talking about, well, for... Wow, okay. Well, there you go. Time has flown. Oh, that's sad. Now, today we're talking about the 1988 movie Akira, based on the 6-volume manga created by the same director and writer. No, stop saying Akira's. I'm gonna put the movie. Hang on, it's stuck on. You guys are really confusing. There you go. Just in case anybody's confused. Yes, so in case you're not aware, there was a watch party on the Discord. If you're not part of the Discord, we do pick a movie every month. That's the plan anyway. And we talk about a movie, and I'm trying to expand my Twitch experience by talking about something that I'm passionate about, which is movies. And in this instance, it's going to be the movie Akira. That was what was voted on. We had a selection of anime movies, or well, animated movies. I think it was more. So one of them was like Your Name. One of them was Perfect. It wasn't Perfect Blue. It was Paprika. Which, if you want to like, if you thought Akira was like messing with your head, if you thought Akira was a head fuck, yeah, Paprika would have made your head explode, much like Tetsuo's kind of almost does at the end of this movie. Spoilers. We will be spoiling the movie. But I think also at the same time, how can you spoil a movie that has so much going on that's so hard to explain and follow? So I think start with the movie. We watched it on the Discord, and what we do is we'll watch it, we'll have our microphones off, and we'll just kind of like type in the chat, and we'll watch the movie and just kind of. And I think a lot of people, well, we started by watching the Japanese dub, which meant that people had to read subtitles and follow what was going on, which I think confused a lot of people. I think everybody was like, I have to read the subtitles and follow what the fuck is going on the screen. And I think it was quite, like, very confusing. Speaking of Weeb month, next month is August, which is my birthday. And I was thinking of doing Final Fantasy movies for August, just put it just for people who are here. So we watched it on the Discord. We watched it's a 2-hour movie, and we watched the first half in Japanese dub, and we were like, the chat was like, we need to come for break. I'd like to get a cup of tea and stretch my legs because there's a lot going on. So we did that, and we came back, and everybody kind of agreed that there was just a general sense of confusion and sleepiness. And we were trying to like type in chat, and we were also trying to watch the movie at the same time. So it was agreed that we'd watch it in English dub, which was like the 80s anime dub, which honestly is so good. So we had like, it was kind of like a best of both worlds situation where we had the first half in Japanese and the back half in English. I think that was a very diplomatic approach. It was pretty funny. So yeah, that's how we watched it. Again, I would say if you are like genuinely interested in joining the movie night, you don't have to have watched the movie with us on Discord to come and talk about it. You just come and talk about it with us if you're interested. So you don't have to come on the Discord and watch the movie. You can just come and watch what we're talking about today, or you can just watch the movie on Discord and completely ignore the stream whenever it happens. But you know, I kind of like to think it's a bit of a twofer, because we don't in the chat discuss the movie as such. We just kind of react to it, which I think is kind of fun. Yeah, so that was one of the talking points that I had in mind. So to start again with, what is Akira? Akira is the 1988 anime movie, which is generally regarded as one of those films that you have to see before you die, which is why it's a very good one for us to pick. I thought it was a good one to kind of encourage people to see something that they've not seen before. It's considered like a landmark in its kind of like position in anime history. Like, it's a movie that people who haven't seen anime may have still seen Akira. And if you go on Letterboxd, which is like my house, I'll put my Letterboxd on here. If you go on my Letterboxd, you'll find that it is actually one of like, it's in the top 250 on Letterboxd, I believe. Well, this is it. So it's actually when you kind of dig into it. So the movie was 1988, and that's the anime. So, but the manga was written between 1982 and 1990. So it's kind of like just basically encapsulates the 80s in Japan, and it kind of like it's all about like, it's a political thriller. It's got a sense of kind of, yeah, it's 36 years old. It's old enough to have its little Akira babies. But I think the general themes and the ideas behind it influenced a lot of anime, like cyberpunk. And we were saying actually when we were watching the movie that it, like, you could see Final Fantasy VII in there. And if you're not familiar with my channel, I speedrun Final Fantasy games, specifically 9, but like, I am a big Final Fantasy fan, which is obviously a Japanese property, which is written by Japanese people. And you can see that kind of cyberpunk aesthetic kind of a part of popular culture in Japan in the 80s and 90s. It was like a really big thing. It was everywhere. So it's kind of like, yeah, hang on. It's 170 in the Letterboxd top 200. So it's ranked 170th out of the best movies ever made on Letterboxd. It's old enough to be drunk and lead all the children anime around and manipulate them, like Oren did. So yeah, if we do talk about Final Fantasy in the chat, it's that's just our bread and butter. We love talking about Final Fantasy in this chat. So I kept making jokes because in Akira, the plot basically is there was a world war that was triggered because of the nuclear destruction. Well, it's not really nuclear, but it looks like an atom bomb was dropped on Tokyo in 1988, and then 31 years later in 2019, you're in Neo Tokyo. There's just a big baboon, and you just don't know what that's about. It doesn't explain. I think that was the thing. I think it was kind of people were watching it and there was subtitles. There's also a lot going on the screen, and it doesn't explain anything. There's like in the manga you'll find that like characters will just dump exposition at various points. Um, in the anime they just didn't have time for that shit, so they just don't. Yes, the distant future 2000. So the thing was, right, the a lot of what happens in the context of the movie in 2019 is based around the Tokyo Olympics, which were going to take place in 2020. And I don't think you guys know this, but Tokyo hosted the actual 2020 Olympics. Now I know it didn't technically happen in 2020, it actually happened in 2021. But like some of the big action sequences happen in the Olympic stadium that was built for the 2020 Olympics. And Tokyo actually hosted the 2020 Olympics. Is it prescient? Did they know? Did they use it as part of their campaign? I don't know. It's just that's what happened. Yeah, so maybe there is a big cover up where like there is a human kaiju. But yeah. Hey, Pat Mantro. I put so many alerts up so that you could come watch the movie with us, bud. You should talk about it. Well, if this encourages you to go watch the movie, then definitely stick around. They did, they totally knew. Not knowing what the fuck's going on, but it being so long. No, I think it is. I think that's like a point of the movie. I think it's very alienating. I think it doesn't hold your hand. It's a 2-hour movie and shit is happening at every second on the screen. And it just doesn't explain anything. they don't. They just do everything, which is an economy of storytelling, but it's also somewhat alienating if you're not following it, and especially if you don't like want to read subtitles. So yeah, it definitely throws a lot of information at you. So the movie takes place in 2019, 31 years after an explosion destroyed Tokyo, and we're now in a dystopian Neo-Tokyo. We're hanging out with a bike gang, and they're all on some motorbikes. And as we made plenty of jokes, but I made this joke very at the start of the movie, and I said the bike that Canada's walking up to in the picture below me, that bike is a main character in the movie. The bike has more characterization and relevance to the plot than quite a few of the characters. Like, I kept going on about the general, and he's got like a mustache and he takes care of the psychic kids, and I kind of realized while I was watching it, I was like, I have an emotional investment in this character because I've read most of the manga, and I've also like loved this movie for a long time. So like, I love the general. I think he's dead cool. I think he takes care of the psychic kids, who in a Final Fantasy reference, the psychic kids are called espers. Never said in the movie. But they are actually called espers. That's their thing. They're psychic and they're children, but they look old. They kind of look blue in the movie. Somebody said, "Who's that alien?" They're not alien. They're little blue kids. They're not. They've aged rapidly because they have psychic powers. None of this is explained. It's like they're just freaky looking kids, and it's at various points you're like, are they actually kids? What's going on? But anyway, so there's the core 4 children. There's Takashi, who he's the kind of first kid that you meet. Somebody's trying to help him escape, and then that guy just gets riddled with bullets. And our bike gang, led by Canada, is kind of like gets in the crosshairs, and Tetsuo kind of stumbles across the kid and is there when the kid unleashes some kind of psychic powers. So Tetsuo gets picked up and airlifted away, I believe, and taken to a hospital. But he gets put in a hospital finds out that he has psychic powers. Some weird psychic shit happens. I don't want to go into too much detail for anybody who's not familiar with the movie. And then Canada, who's our dude in the red leather jacket, who is a big fan of Dr. Mario, I think. He meets Kai, I always say her name wrong, who's an activist in a resistance movement, who's working to overthrow the government. And he just takes a liking to her. Wow. I mean, I'm gonna say this like straight off the bat. The women in this movie are not sexualized to the extent that Kay is so under-feminized that some people struggle to recognize that she was actually a girl character. And then kind of midpoint through the movie, there's nudity, but it's done in such a way so you do see a woman's boobies, but she's being assaulted. And there's nothing glamorous or titillating about it. So this movie is not interested in sexualizing females, was my point. Kay is so unfeminized that, like I say, there is a point in the movie where she's suddenly wearing eyeshadow, and I don't know if I need to watch it back, because we didn't think she was wearing eyeshadow for the first half of the movie, and then the second half of the movie she gets possessed by Kyoko, who is one of the psychic children, and she's really cute, and she lives in a bed because she's super glam, and she wears loads of makeup. And because she's possessing, or she's kind of channeling Kay, there was like a debate. Is it that we just didn't notice the eyeshadow before? She's wearing a lovely dash of purple eyeshadow. Is it that we didn't notice the eyeshadow before? Or is it because Kyoko, who's very kind of has lots of makeup on, is she channeling her, and then we know that she's channeling her because she's wearing the makeup? We never got to the bottom of it. But I think my point being, in answer to, is there any boobies? No, there is boobies, but a female character is beaten and assaulted, and you see her boobies at that point, and there is nothing titillating or enjoyable about it. And I personally respect the shit out of that, because I think anime has a reputation for over-sexualizing females. I said it. But Akira is not one of those animes. It's not. It's like I say, Kay is just so gung-ho and action and just doing her shit. She don't have time for that. And I respect that, and I always loved Kay as a character. I genuinely think she's fascinating, and like I say, the only character that wears a shit ton of makeup is Kyoko, who's an old lady little girl who's just trying to look pretty. And there's a reason for her wearing excessive amounts of makeup. It's because she wants to feel she's that's her thing, that's part of her character. It's not for the titillation of the audience. So yeah, there's I wouldn't say it was a feminist movie, but it definitely there's a level of equality in how the characters, apart from Kaori, who is kind of just there to be the girlfriend, who kind of gets a little bit shafted near the end, and shafted in a non-sexual way. I feel like shafted can be sexualized. Anyway, where was I? Plot. Tetsuro's ended up in a hospital. I will get through the plot. Tetsuro's in a hospital. He's unlocked some psychic powers. He meets the creepy kids. The hospital is kind of run by the military. The general, as I've mentioned, I think at one point somebody pointed out that there's multiple people with mustaches in the movie, and it was confusing. But the general is the bald guy with the mustache, and he's kind of in charge of the children. We fucking love the general. At one point he turns guns on the army because he's like, I'm not fucking about. I'm trying to save the day here. I love the general. Anyway, Tetsuro escapes the hospital, and he is looking for Akira. Ultimately, there's quite a few action sequences. Kay is trying to infiltrate the military organization. She runs into Canada. Canada runs into her. He's following her. He's in love with her. Canada kind of gets mixed up in the conspiracy that Kay's involved in. And yeah, everybody, is it Canada? Canada? I don't know how to say it without it just sounding like, oh, Canada. Yeah, Canada, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, Tetsuo escapes the hospital. He's got psychic powers now. He's pissed off because the kids try to talk to him and they do it in such a stupid way. So, like, he just massacres quite a few people in the hospital. Just a few. When we got to the midway point, I said, Tetsuo is fine and he's definitely not going to murder anyone. And he went ahead and just murdered a shit ton of people. I was lying. The break point was him getting out of his hospital room. And I was like, he's going to get out of the hospital and no one's going to get hurt. And then he proceeds to, well, he'd already exploded a couple of people at that point. He is looking for Akira. And he also really wants Canada's bike at one point. And the short and sticky version of it is he rampages through Neo Tokyo. At one point he finds a very nice cape. Looks like it's a really good bike. He finds a superhero cape that he just throws around his shoulders. Now he's got a Superman cape. And he's kind of stomping through Tokyo and causing loads of havoc. And there is a point I've watched Superman recently, so I was like, oh my god, he's like Superman. Because what else would you take from that experience? Like seeing some kid with a cape on and psychic powers blowing shit up. People think he's a hero, so they all follow him, and that is not a good idea. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I did say that after he exploded a few people, but they were still good. Tetsuo murders quite a few people. So he's not. So he, unlike the kids, hasn't had this power. It's kind of like been unlocked inside of him. And then Canada and Kai are in a kind of prison. They're imprisoned for a moment or two, and they're talking about humanity. And Kai kind of explains that way back when humans were amoeba, they could grow exponentially, and that power of growth and that power, what if we could go back and find that power and unlock it? And I guess the psychic powers and this kind of like amoeba of infinitely growing and what have you is kind of one of the themes of the movie. It's kind of this primal thing that humans can have inside of them, and then there's certain people that can unlock it and they get psychic powers, and the children grow, they age rapidly because it's quite a strain on their bodies, and they've got loads of doctors keeping them alive and testing them and making sure that their powers are contained, whereas Tetsuo escapes the hospital and is not in the mood for that shit. So he is looking for Akira, who is the fourth Esper child, and he is looking to he's looking for Akira because Akira is the voice in his head, I think. I'm just extrapolating. Anyway, in the manga, in the original story, Akira is still alive and is kind of like part of the plot and is an integral character. In the movie, Akira is, I don't know whether the general says that he like gave up his life voluntarily for the research or if he died for some kind of unknown reason. He's more of a vibe, yeah. I mean, the whole movie's a vibe. This is the thing, and I keep saying to people, there's so much going on, you just have to go with the vibes. Anyway, Akira is now underneath the Olympic Stadium, and he is all chopped up into little pieces and stuck into some jars. Cryogenic, so they all look like little kind of cans. And Akira is just a big selection of stem cells in cans. Um, so, and then for some reason, so Tetsuo's got what he wants, and now he has the. And then I said, "Oh man, Akira's been canned." It worked better when you were there. It worked better when it was good. It was good in the moment because it was like there was just loads of cans on the screen, and I just went, "Oh man, it looks like Akira's been canned," and nobody kind of knew what was going on because they didn't realize the cans were Akira, and then it made sense, and it was very smart, and I was very witty, and yeah, I thought it was good. And then yeah, sure, I'm down for that. Was just like, "You've been working on that, haven't you?" And I was like, "Man, that was my best joke." Um, so yeah, he's not with us anymore, but you know he's psychic, so he is kind of there in spirit. He's obviously been talking to Tetsuo through the quantum realm or some shit. Anyway, so the general's getting pissed off at this kid, so uses a satellite to do a satellite beam of some description on Tetsuo because he's like, "Well, you're pissing me off now." So uses a thank you, you were quite impressed. Yeah, I don't know what I think. So yeah, he's starting to shoot at Tetsuo with a giant satellite laser, and by doing that, he blows off Tetsuo's arm, because that's all that the laser really hit. Canada is also there. They're shouting at each other. If you see anybody in chat going, "Canada, Tetsuo," that's them. They're having a moment. They do it quite a few times. He gets his arm blown off. Canada, Tetsuo. That's like the best bit. Everybody loves that bit. They do it like at least 4 times. Um, so yeah, so he's lost his arm. So he does what every sci-fi hero does, gets a mechanical arm, which he uses from the debris around him, makes a mechanical arm. And then unfortunately, his girlfriend, who was previously beaten up and stripped in the movie, Kaori turns up. And the poor girl is like, "Tetsuo, are you okay?" And he's like, yeah, I'm fine, fuck off." He's a bit freaked out. She's a bit confused. It's like, "Get out of there, girl. She's not worth it. Please leave." The general's there. He starts blasting with his gun. Canada's also there. Kaori did have a really rough week, and then some weird shit happens because Tetsuo suddenly loses control and starts expanding at an exponential rate and grows into a big blobby massive flesh, and Kaori gets crushed in his folds of skin. Canada also gets folded up in there but seems to survive, and the general, I don't know what happened to him. He survived some gunshots. He's not, I'm pretty sure he's fine. Yeah, he just becomes like this big blob of flesh and debris, and there is actually a South Park episode where Cartman has a similar experience. They have actually parodied this. To what end, I still don't know. So yeah, Tetsuo starts growing exponentially, and then, and then they like, what happens? I can't remember how he stops growing. Hang on, let me just think. I think the Espers come along, so the kids are there now. The psychic kids are there, and then they make a conscious decision to kind of throw themselves into the situation and stop Tetsuo. And I think Akira is also there, and everybody kind of gets teleported to some various situations. Another big explosion happens because Tokyo just can't stop getting blown up in these movies. And then there's kind of like this moment of quiet where you see Tetsuo's past, you see how he always felt ostracized by his friends, you see the Esper's past as well, their like childhood. You see Akira in these flashbacks, and you see, um, yeah, you see all of this happening. You see, like, you get lots of flashbacks, you get a lot of information, none of it's explained, and then at the end, Kay in Canada standing on a rock, and their friend turns up, and Tetsuo's gone with the Espers. The Espers are like, "We took him. He's fine. We're on a different plane now. See you later." Um, and yeah, and then Tetsuo kind of like on another plane says, "I am Tetsuo," and it just fades to white, and that's the end of the movie. I feel like I'm missing some context. I think in some versions, in some variation of it, I think Kay is developing psychic powers, but I can't remember like seeing it. Like, it's not explicit. um, anyway, so starts with Tokyo getting blown up, ends with Tokyo getting blown up. Um, and we had lots of psychic crazy adventures on the way. It's an allegory for the danger of nuclear weaponry, how they made Espers happen and then they couldn't control it. So yeah, so obviously an atom bomb, if you're not familiar with how atom bombs work or nuclear fission or whatever it is works, it is splitting an atom to create exponential energy. And the idea, as Dakoba has quite succinctly put it, is what happens if, like Kay was saying, with an amoeba, what if humans had that same capacity for, what if humans were basically, we could split a human atom and make them into a nuclear weapon in and of its own kind of self. It's like applying nuclear weapons to humans. What would happen in that situation? Which is really cool, very highbrow, and if you watch the movie without kind of knowing that's what they were going for, you could probably walk away from it not realizing that that is what they're heading for, but that is kind of like what it ultimately is about. Well, it's like you have the exponential power within you to become a nuke. Humans have the power to be anything. But yeah. It's so much like Sonic Adventures for sure. You don't remember anything. I think it does kind of, and I think for the most part, yeah, they do. So Tetsuo and Akira and the Espers are all together in that dimension. I think they all go together. I think because Akira's been calling Tetsuo the whole time. You're right, Tinny. We're talking about Akira. So now I guess it's the part where, like, I'm gonna say I fucking loved the movie. So my opinion is it's so good. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna stick up a little poll to say what's your general opinions. And give you 5 minutes. I'll keep talking while we do it. You broke your toe. No, keep your feet up. Busting out your living room floor. Noise. Okay. I'll do a 5 minute poll. Why not? So I'm asking chat, what do you guys think of Akira, just so that I can get a general vibe for what your thoughts are. I think you can, like, I think too confusing is a negative, because I think if you can follow it and still enjoy it, you'd say it was a vibe. That's kind of like my general thing. Because on Letterboxd, I have a 5 star. I'll tell you about my 5 star ratings on Letterboxd. On Letterboxd, I rate things out of 5 stars. Letterboxd has a half-star rating system. I don't use half stars. I think I'm probably the only person on the website that doesn't use half stars. I refuse. So my star rating is 1 star. Fucking hated it. That's a visceral reaction. Like, if I genuinely dislike something, it will get 1 star. 2 is I didn't like it, but I can see that there's some level of merit to it. So there's like good things in it. Didn't completely hate it, just didn't like it. 3 stars is it was fine. I liked it. It was good. I might even watch it again. But it was just middle of the road. It's a movie. I'd recommend it, but I wouldn't go out of my way. 4 stars is I genuinely liked it. There's a lot of good stuff in it. Probably would watch it again, but it didn't give like me those butterflies of excitement. Like, I just really liked it, but I couldn't like fully say that I loved it. And then 5 is I just loved it. I'd watch it a million times. I really like it. And my general rating system is just based on feelings. 6 stars is Madam Web. 6 stars is confusing. But yeah. But I think that's it. And I think saying like, because for me, I love it, but I think it's a difficult one to get into. I think it's confusing. I think it's actively working to kind of make you think, and I think that's cool. But I think also, like, for a lot of people, movies are just there to be entertaining and to take you on an adventure, and for it to be as enjoyable as possible, but not too taxing. And I think if that's not entertaining to you, then I can get why people would like it but not love it. But I also get why people would love it because there's so many layers to it. But like, yeah, that's kind of like where my head's at with it. Just genuinely curious what the reaction was. So yeah. The general chat reaction right now is it's a vibe. It's a good thing. So because it's not clear if on the recording, I've put the options are loved it, hated it, which is obviously my 1 star, 5 star kind of ends of the spectrum. I've got too confusing, dislike, 2 stars. It's a vibe, which means you liked it, and then meh, which is middle, which is mid, which I don't think anyone could ever say about Akira. So yeah. And I think for like a lot of people who aren't familiar with Japanese pop culture and Japanese media and stuff, I think Final Fantasy is a really common kind of like starting point. And I think for most people of our generation, we're in our 30s. Oh my god. For most people, 7, 8, 9 is the general starting point. And for most people, 7 and 8, like that cyberpunk vibe, is it's the 90s, it's Japan. That's what they were doing. So it's definitely like that's the start. That's the media. That's Japanese. That's what's cool at the time. And is definitely like that's. I would say it's inspired by Akira, but I also think like the general kind of pop culture vibe in Japan was this cyberpunk, post-apocalyptic. It was very critical. It was very, I don't want to say nihilistic, but there was a sense of like in space, in time, like Japan was, like my history of Japan is so bad, but the 80s and 90s they were in like a financial depression or something. So it's kind of like, and anime especially with that cyberpunk kind of like dystopian vibe is questioning the progress of society. Sci-fi is always asking questions of what if, taking things to the nth degree, giving us these questions to kind of, it's a vibe. We liked it. Okay, that's the vibe. But yeah, yeah, sci-fi is asking the questions of what if, and I think there's kind of like, especially in anime and this kind of this cultural time in Japan, there is a question of it was almost pessimistic. Um, yeah, that's the general vibe that I get from it. You know, like, but that's kind of cool. Oh, let me make some wine. Low life, high tech, Judge Dredd, Neuromancer, Matrix, Blade Runner. So yeah, Blade Runner. What's the date on Blade Runner? Because that's like slap bang in the middle of this. Blade Runner is 80, isn't it? It's 1986. Blade Runner is that aesthetic. 1982. Jesus. So yeah, Ridley Scott is basically taking Philip K. Dick and running with it with that cyberpunk theme. Judge Dredd. That's RoboCop. RoboCop's one. Verhoeven. Fucking love RoboCop. But yeah, it is. It's a genre in and of itself. Akira is one of the most famous examples. Um, and yeah, it's one of the first kind of like, if not one of the highest profile anime that like made an impact outside of Japan. Um, Apparently, I mean, according to Wikipedia, it was very popular in the United States and France. And I guess that's like, that's Western, that's Europe, that's, I was aware of it when I was a kid, so yeah. So it's definitely like, it's very niche. And I think that's the thing. In the Western world, like anime and like, I think we've talked about this before, but like anime and Japanese culture kind of started filtering through Western into the Western kind of pop culture around the 90s. It was Pokemon, just one of the biggest companies that ever existed, bringing kind of like anime and Japanese pop culture to the Western world. And in the 80s, like we're saying, it would have been extremely niche for anything to break through. Deus Ex, a non Final Fantasy video game. Well, there you go. You had a bookshop that would sell manga, you'd have to travel to a different city for it. So I think one of the things was, when I was a kid, it was really hard to get, like, when we were teenagers, this is when we started to get into it. It was so hard to get a hold of, like, the DVD for this. We ended up paying well over the odds for it to get shipped over from somewhere else. And you could only watch it on DVD. Obviously, we didn't have streaming services, which now just feels like, how is that even possible? But yeah, Ghost in the Shell. Yeah, that's a good one. Ghost in the Shell, and there's quite a few. I watched Ghost in the Shell. There's quite a few. But yeah, Ghost in the Shell's a really good one. Not the Scarlett Johansson one, the actual original. Definitely look that up. What I will do is I will gather up some kind of similar kind of media, or I'll put some more movies together and I'll make a list of them, which will encourage you to just a list just for you to look at. I'll put it in the Discord, and I'll make it available. Just of movies that are just this general vibe and tone, if it's something that you're interested in. So like Ghost in the Shell will probably be on there. Judge Dredd will be on there. I'd put RoboCop on there, just because it's a fucking great movie. But yeah, it's definitely one of, if not one of the first kind of like anime movies that people have seen. Moving into that, my sister always mentions this, so I guess I should too. It is Kanye West's favourite fucking movie. And it's kind of the reason that I wanted to talk about it, God help me, is that there's been so many talks about making a live action version of this movie, and it's been in what is only described as development hell for like 20 years. Yeah, Dr. Mario. I mean, that is a good game. So, yeah. Sony, I'm just going to read through the development hell. I'm just going to scan through it on the old Wikipedia. Because I know that there was going to be a one very recently, like Taika Waititi was like set to direct, and it just kept getting delayed, and then it just never happened. But Taika Waititi was going to do a live action Akira, kept saying it was going to happen. I don't know what the man's been doing recently in recent years, but he's just not doing it. So yeah, no, he doesn't understand the plot, but he understands the vibes. So no, I personally, I don't think so. I think the thing, like, from that lens, when we were watching it the other night, I just kept sitting there going in my head thinking, how could you ever make a live action version of this movie? And I think the closest, I've not personally watched it, but I know the general plot of it. Some people have said the movie Brightburn is a very close kind of analog to it. I think Esper is something to do with ESPN, but I'm not sure. I'm getting so sweaty. But yeah, so in the 90s, Sony bought the rights after the anime came out, and that never came to fruition. 2002, Warner Bros. Acquired the rights as a 7-figure deal. And then it went through a troubled development with at least 5 directors and 10 writers attached over more than 2 decades of production. So Warner Bros. Has had a hold of this since 2002. Firstly, there was the whitewashing and race bending, casting American or other Western actors in lieu of Japanese ones, which has frequently come to light when such actors have been reported as under consideration for the roles. And secondly, Akira itself is not considered a story that's easy to relocate outside of Japan due to heavy influence on the original story of Japan's role in World War II and the atomic bombings, which obviously plays quite a big role in the movie. To make it more westernized and to draw in American audiences, they thought about using the 9/11 attacks to kind of like use them as an established, like, kind of like way of changing the story to make it more westernized. But then that was deeply criticized because you can't make Akira about terrorists flying planes into a tower. You can't. It doesn't twist that way, man. I mean, yeah, so Godzilla is another one, which obviously reflected very deeply on Japan's sentiments towards nuclear war, and it loses so much of its kind of depth and intrigue, and just the human characters suck in all of the Western versions. I mean, you know, it's a kaiju movie and they're good, but if you haven't watched the original 1951 Godzilla, I highly recommend it. It's so good and haunting, and the human drama is almost as amazing. Like, for me, the human drama between the Japanese characters is like so compelling, and then there's a guy in a big plastic suit breaking up tiny sets, which, that's funny, but you get where it's great. If you haven't seen it, it's so good. It's black and white. It's a Japanese movie. You have to watch it with subtitles. But the thing that kind of drew me in with the original Godzilla is the sound that Godzilla makes. The kind of the scream, that noise that haunts your dreams. That's it's primal. It's really cool. I love it. It's great. If you haven't seen it, I love Godzilla. I'll put that on the list. But yeah, so the general, from reading this article very briefly, they planned the changes to include the setting the film in Chicago, as well as making Canada and Tetsuo brothers, which isn't what they were in the original. They were just school friends. Um, I didn't really touch on it when I was kind of running through the plot, but Tetsuo and Kaneda are school friends who are now in a biker gang, and Tetsuo has an inferiority complex. He's always felt like an outsider, and Kaneda, everything just comes easy to him because he is the charming Zack to Tetsuo's angsty Cloud, to use a Final Fantasy reference. But you can tell me if I'm wrong. Please do. Argue with me. And then somebody called Ruari. I don't even know how to say that. I'm sorry for the. It's an Irish director, Ruari Robinson, with Gary Whitta screenwriting, and they were going to split it into 2 films. This was in 2008, and it would be released in 2009. And the 2 movies would cover the 3 volumes of the 6-volume manga. So they weren't doing a direct movie adaptation; they were doing a manga adaptation. And he had been told that Otomo, the director and writer, had instructed those working on the film to not be afraid to change things, and that he wanted to see an original and different interpretation, not just a straight up remake. I love that, because if they are going to remake it, and if they are going to make a Western version of Akira, I think that's a really smart approach. Like, Otomo wrote it in the 80s in Japan, which is a totally different time to the 2000s in America. So, yeah. You've never argued with me. We get along just fine. And if we do disagree about things, we just tease each other relentlessly about it. So the script was recentered, and it was set in New York, obviously. Akira's incident had destroyed Manhattan. The US economy nearly collapses. Out of desperation, the government leases the now vacant land to Japan, which is becoming an economic powerhouse and is struggling with overpopulation. This city of Japanese citizens built on a formerly American land becomes Neo-Tokyo, and this would have allowed them to use a mixture of Western and Asian cultures and actors so as to avoid concerns that they would be whitewashing the project. That actually sounds like a really good middle ground. The concept art was featured Chris Evans as Kaneda and Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Travis, which is the anglicized version of Tetsuo, though it is unclear whether if either actor was actually attached to the project. Like, they renamed Tetsuo Travis. That's quite funny. Yes, I've got some hot takes. There's a massive earthquake that caused Japanese pop. Yeah, because it's San Fran Tokyo or something, isn't it? Have I watched it? Yeah, it's San Fran Tokyo. I didn't imagine it. I didn't see the movie, or I have seen the movie, but everything that I know about Big Hero 6 is from playing Kingdom Hearts 3, and it was against my will. It's Chris Evans. No, it's not the ginger guy. It's Captain America. So then everything went down the shitter, and the guys left the project in 2009 and were replaced. So the director left. They brought on 2 new directors. They kept the script in 2009 and brought on some extra writers to tweak it. That seems wrong, but it was 2008. Was that before he was Captain America? So they kept the plans, and they were going to make it a PG-13 instead, which, can you imagine a PG-13 Akira? And they were still going for the 2-parter movies. 2011, versions of the script began to surface online, and they were circulated to casting agencies. So the Neo Manhattan rather than Neo Tokyo, siblings rather than friends, increased focus on the gang's use and trafficking of drugs. There was a full script, casting leaks, blah blah blah. The scripts were criticised for deviating significantly from the source material because they were siblings, and now in their early 30s, no longer bikers. Akira was a murderous child comparable to a horror villain, and Kei's supporting role was downplayed to simpler love interest, which is an abomination. They should not do that to Kei. The American setting also drew criticism for the 9/11 things, and they didn't like that Tetsuo was renamed Travis. He was in a movie called Push. Who is going to play? There's no mention of the bike in any of these notes. So then in 2011, I can't say his name, so Joam, call it Sarah, who is the guy that he basically directs Liam Neeson movies. He's the one that directs like Liam Neeson on a train. Liam Neeson is taken or some shit. I've watched quite a few of his. They're dad action movies. They're bad. Dad movies, yeah, thank you. Liam Neeson late career movies. The casting had begun. Actors considered for Canada: James Franco, Robert Pattinson, and Keanu Reeves. That is such a large spread. That's quite a spread, because it's like Robert Pattinson would have been in his 20s. James Franco in his 30s. Keanu Reeves in his 40s, 50s? Anyway, Garrett Hedlund emerged as the frontrunner for the role, began negotiations. Kristen Stewart was offered the role of Kai, who is actually Kay, and she was cast after Hedlund. So they actually got as far as casting people. Gary Oldman's given the role of the Colonel. He passed. The role was then offered to Ken Watanabe. Helena Bonham Carter and Keira Knightley were approached for unspecified roles. Tetsuo was not cast before production halted. Paul Dano, Alden Ehrenreich, and Toby Kebbell. Toby Kebbell was like this name in everybody's mouths who was going to be a big star, and then he was in Fantastic Four Sticks, and he just never became a thing. I don't know what happened there. I don't know who did he upset Harvey Weinstein? I don't know what happened there. I just remember in like the early 2010s, everyone going, Toby Kebbell, big deal. It never happened for him. They went to Vancouver, and then the director he left when they were just about to start filming because of issues with the script. New drafts were created. The director was no longer involved. They tried to find a new director. George Miller of Mad Max and Babe fame was offered the chance to direct, but he turned it down due to other commitments. And the studio was in reported talks with Justin Lin, who I think he did Fast and Furious. Jordan Peele was offered the chance to direct, but he declined. And then in 2017, this is what I know, Taika Waititi was in talks to direct. 2019, he was confirmed that he would be co-writing the script with somebody else whose name Michael Gollumko, I can't read it. Filming was scheduled to have commenced in California. He was going to be adapting from the manga, not the movie. He was going to hire Asian Americans to play the leads. But then he got signed on for Thor Love and Thunder, which, what a career choice, really. So by saying he was going to do that project, and then he continued to take on additional projects and basically told them where to go. He kept reaffirming his commitment over the years, which I have heard, but they just never got beyond writing duties. And then in June 2025, so mere weeks ago, they've declined to renew the rights of the live action movie. Waititi's involvement is officially dead. It's gone back to the manga publisher, and with the rights reversions and multiple interested parties, people are going to be starting to bid on a new live action Akira any day now, is pretty much the general rule. So yeah, Keanu was Shadow the Hedgehog, who has a bike. So, and he is an action guy. Why titillating enough? Nopers. So yeah, the live action it might happen in our lifetime, but yeah, that's crazy that so many people have been attached to it, and they can't thread that needle of adapting it for a Western audience in a live action because it's not possible. Well, you can use those handbooks for your own benefit. And never trust Taika Waititi with a project. Because what the fuck, right? I'm gonna have a look at Taika Waititi because that's pissed me off. Man, he just didn't want to do it. It's not his fault, but it is an unfilmable movie. But I'm gonna tell you, because I know for a fact, to be fair to the man, he did Thor Ragnarok, kickstarted his career, became a big deal in Hollywood. Then followed that up with Jojo Rabbit, which I believe is one of Jacoba's favourite movies. And then that was 2019. Got an Oscar. Gong? He actually got it? I think he got the Oscar for best. I remember things. So yeah, he actually got the Oscar for like original screenplay for Jojo Rabbit. So he's an Oscar winner. He's made a bajillion-dollar movies, sailing the wave. And then they said, "Do you want to do Thor: Love and Thunder?" And they must have just shoved a load of money in his face because he said, "Hell yeah!" So Akira gets pushed to the wayside. But the thing that's confusing to me is that after that, he made Next Goal Wins, which is a movie about a football team that Michael Fassbender goes to be the coach of. It was bad. It was bad. The American Samoa national football team. It was so bad. You know what you're going to spend them on? Should I be worried? You've got 134,000 bucks. What is that even close to? What are you going to spend it on? You're worrying me now, man. I'm worried, I'm afraid. That's quite a lot of bucks. So Taika Waititi could have directed Akira, but he made whatever Next Goal Wins was. It was not a good movie. I'm not encouraging pooling these ham boob cake, but you're not getting a ham boob cake. That's baffling to me. Like, you could have made a live action Akira. Your name would have gone down in history, and you made the stupidest fucking movie. Although, to be fair, there is a trans character in the movie about the football team, and she is fucking brilliant. So that's the only good thing. Michael Fassbender cannot do comedy. That's all you need to know. He's not. I love the man. I do, in spite of what I know about him, but like, can't do comedy. And then he also did The Killer, which was a David Fincher direct-to-Netflix movie, which I also didn't think was very good, just to kind of expand on Michael Fassbender's late-stage career. The one thing that I find interesting about Michael Fassbender, this is on a tangent, I'm going on a tangent. Michael Fassbender is quite a famous actor, I believe. He did all of the artsy shit. He got big. He got cast as Magneto in the X-Men reboot movies, and they were good. And him and James McAvoy, I can't say his name today. He got all the money, he got all the babes, he got the Oscar-nominated movies, and then he got to a point. He did the Assassin's Creed movie, which no one gave a shit about. It was one of those. It was a video game movie that was bad and nobody cared. Yeah, that thing existed. Probably got paid very well for it. And then around that time, he kind of just decided to just fuck off. And my favourite thing that I learned about him was that he went and he just decided, like, he's like, I've made enough money doing acting and I'm really good at it. Because he is. He's really good. He's like top of the, like, he's one of the best actors of a generation. And he was just like, I'm bored. So he was like, movies suck, man. I've got all this money. So he just went off and decided to do Formula One. Um, I do. Yeah, I have watched Terminator now. We do love a Kojima game. 2016, yeah, that was Assassin's Creed. It was around that time where he was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It was around that time. Like the X-Men movies were getting shitter. He did he did that. He did Assassin's Creed. He did The Snowman. If right, if you haven't watched The Snowman is actually one of the worst movies ever put to film. It's so bad. There are like YouTube videos about how bad it is. Anyway, I think the last yeah. So he just decided to do Formula One. So he's like really talented, rich and famous actor, and he was like, I'm bored. It's weird because they didn't actually edit the film in a way that made any sense. It's worse than Frozen. The Snowman. We should do it. We should add it to the list because it's one of those movies where, oh my god, there's so many things wrong with it. The Snowman is actually one of the worst movies ever made. It's one of the worst movies ever made. So, Mike Fassbender, after making one of the worst movies ever made, um, he was like, I'm going to do Formula One. So he followed his passion and he went and did Formula One. And the thing that he said, I don't quote me on this because like it is actually, I don't know if he said it specifically, but he was like, I did Formula One and it was the most humbling experience of my life because I love race cars. I love that's my passion. I'm really into it. And I thought, I'm going to give it a go. And he gave it a go and he was shit at it. But he was like, I'm going to follow my passion. So he was shit at Formula One. And I just thought it was really amazing because he was like, I don't want to do acting. And he but he took a hiatus and was just shit at racing for a while. He just he got better, like, and I think Formula One is definitely one of those things where it's like you need lots of money to be involved in it. But he got to race really fast cars and be a part of like all of that experience, and he chose to use his money and his fame to follow his true passions. And as it turns out, he has other passions outside of acting, and I just thought it was really interesting because I think I think that says a lot about his just general attitude to acting. It's like he doesn't need all of the like he puts his money where his mouth is. I think it's interesting because he he doesn't care about the attention or any of that. He doesn't want to be on that circuit. He's genuinely not like obsessed with it. He doesn't need that attention. He just wants to do it because it's his job and it's his craft and it's what he's good at. And but he actually wants to, likes driving cars and is following his passions and was bad at it and was humbled by that. And the thing that he really enjoyed was the thing that he's not as good at as he is at his job. Yeah, and Tom Hardy's really good at jiu-jitsu and rocks up to contests and says hi to everyone, and like he has passions. Yeah, he turns up to tournaments and shakes hands with people, and he's just generally like a nice person. Yeah, and I think like if you can, that's amazing. And I think it says a lot about their character. It's like he didn't start a fucking podcast. He didn't do a makeup line. He didn't do social media. He didn't do things that, you know, he just did it for him, which I respect. Like, how can you not respect that? Like, you follow your passion. Although he has been known, he did beat up a couple of his girlfriends previously, so I do have to side eye him a little bit. I do need to temper that. There were reports of him breaking one of his ex-girlfriend's ribs by attacking her a bit. So, you know, good guy. I find him very interesting. He's a good actor, and I like that he followed his passions, but he beat his girlfriend too, so... Tomato, tomato. I feel like I shouldn't be singing his praises too. We're all human. We all have shades of dark and light. I feel like I should also put that one out there. It was reported, I'm not making it up. Allegedly, for legal reasons, it was reported around the time that he may or may not have sent his girlfriend to hospital for kicking her in the ribs. But he's also a really good actor, and he did Formula One, and I respect that. But I think we should never put people on pedestals, and I think that we should understand that there are good and bad in everybody. And I can understand him following his passions and respect that, but I can also side-eye him massively for that. So there you go. Pedro Pascal has never done anything wrong in his life, ever. Never. No one can tell me otherwise. Angel man. Nick Kyrgios, fantastically talented tennis player, hates tennis. I do think that's interesting. I think there's something to be said for people being good and naturally talented at something and being really amazing at it, and then coming to like realize that it's not their passion or their, what makes them happy in life. And I think we all need to find what makes us happy in life. You're really good with Excel. I hate Excel. I know speedrunners who are really good at speedrunning who hate some of the games that they speedrun, but maybe it's me. Maybe I really hate some of the games that I speedrun. He came to F1, didn't put himself on the pedestal either, and he sucked. There you go. I think people have done that before. Like, what was it? Who was it Michael Jordan who like did basketball and then decided to do baseball? That's the thing. I only know this from fucking Space Jam. I only know this from Space Jam, but Michael Jordan is an example that I'm using. And there you go. Can't be good at everything. Not everybody is. And like I say, I think we should be careful putting people on pedestals. And I think the Akira live action remake is apparently going to happen. There's going to be a bidding war for it. He is tall enough already. Don't prop him up any higher. So, I guess the next thing would be the cultural influence of Akira. Getting back to the topic at hand, because I am rambling. Oh, okay. So there's like a massive list of things that it influenced numerous works. It inspired a wave of Japanese cyberpunk works, including, I'm just going to read ones that I recognise. It inspired Ghost in the Shell, Battle Angel Alita, Brand New Animal, Cowboy Bebop, Devilman Crybaby, which is one that I have actually watched. I haven't watched many anime, but that is one. One Piece, Pacific Rim, The Black, apparently Rick and Morty the anime. What the fuck? Japanese films such as Tetsuo the Iron Man. Don't know what that is. Video games such as Hideo Kojima's Snatcher, which somebody did actually say while we were watching the movie. Who said Snatcher? Yeah, apparently Pacific Rim. I guess the kaiju situation. Yeah, she does like Akira. She's more obsessed with Akira. Police Noughts, Metal Gear Solid. All of these are Kojima's. Square Enix's, Squaresoft at the times, Final Fantasy VII. That is listed as being influenced by it. And then Inception's getting a shout out. Chronicle is getting a shout out. If you haven't seen Chronicle, that is actually a decent movie. Looper, time travel movie. I don't see the That's not right. Midnight Special. That is a good movie. I'm gonna make a list. I did, you dork. That's what you're gonna use it. Oh, Snatcher. Interesting. Tetsuo the Iron Man is a live action from 1989 that slowly starts sprouting metal bits from his body. That sounds gross. Maybe I watch it. Apparently Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was influenced by it. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. K-Pop Demon Hunters, which is a movie that literally just came out, is apparently influenced by it. I'm going to argue with that Wikipedia, but I will have to watch it to find out. A bunch of Batman related things. Arcane was influenced by Akira. Yeah, this is tenuous at best, man. The Matrix movies, which I can kind of get my head around. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of things. It's weird. So apparently, okay, so the music video thing. So Kanye West did a music video, and he just basically ripped off several scenes from the movie and put them in his music video for Stronger, which is like a mashup of him and Daft Punk. So he's Tetsuo in the music video, and he's in the hospital, and he's scaring all the nurses and stuff. Like he's Tetsuo in the video. That was something that I remember when the movie came out. Well, when the music video came out, I remember thinking, "This is Akira, man. This is." And I think me and my sister will forever say this. That is the closest we have ever got to a live action Akira. I just want you to let that sink in, because that's just weird. Kanye's Tetsuo, and he, almost with painstaking detail, reenacts several scenes from the movie. It's fucked up, but it's also surprisingly good. I hate it. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, 15-year-old going, this is what I like, and I like Akira, and I like this, and I like this. The animation, yeah, okay, so we haven't talked enough about the animation, because we kept saying this during the movie. It was totally hand-drawn. And I watched a documentary about it, like, so many years ago now. But like all of the big establishing like shots of like the buildings and everything in Neo Tokyo, with all the tiny windows, especially the building that Tetsuo is held in, the government building, hand painted. Every single window is like a tiny little speck, like with a paintbrush on a canvas. It was all hand painted and hand drawn, and the amount of detail and the level of care. There's not Shinra HQ. It looks very much like Shinra HQ. 7 was copying. All hand drawn and lit, and the motorcycles are made by shining actual lights through the animation cells. And the scene with the motorbikes is probably, it's like regularly cited as one of like the most iconic anime scenes that's ever been made. It definitely influenced, like, the way that they made that, and the way that it just, there's so much creativity and passion, and you can see it from the drawing, and you can see it in every single cell of the film. It's beautiful. Like, it's one of those ones where it's like every single frame is a work of art. If you haven't seen Akira, please watch Akira. It's amazing. What was I gonna say? Apparently, the other music video is Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson's song Scream. There you go. I haven't seen that music video, but apparently that was influenced. That was from 1995. Motorball would have been in the motorcycle gang, right? They've like referenced some like Star Wars stuff in here as well. Apparently, Cyberpunk 2077 was influenced by Akira. And Deus Ex Mankind Divided has a movie poster in the game that's for Akira. And yeah, I'm just like listing things now. Apparently, Canada's motorbike appears in Steven Spielberg's film Ready Player One. Ready Player One is a movie that I have issues with. But yes. Yeah, well, please, we are literally just talking about the motorbike right now, as Dakoba is pointing out. They used actual shining lights on the cells when they were when they were doing the animation to make those lights happen. Um, yeah, I've yet to play the Divided Mankind Divided, but I watched Waves playing it, and I didn't like the look of it. Ready Player One with a girl so incredibly ugly she cannot be seen in public. Yeah, she's got like some kind of skin condition, but she's Olivia Cook and she's very pretty. And there's a blowjob joke in that movie, which I didn't think was necessary. Her character sucks. I hated it. Didn't like the movie. I also don't think that just ripping off The Shining for like the majority of an act of your movie is in any way respectful or an homage. It's literally just, it's basically Steven Spielberg or whatever character or whatever, I think it's based on a book. It's just basically this guy who grew up in the 80s going, look how good my film taste is. Look how cool I am. Like, dude, I don't get. You can't make a movie on that. You just can't. I hate it. It just didn't. Yeah, well they did, and this is the thing. It felt so superfluous. It felt so fucking pointless. I hate it. It was a reference to the Batman animated series in the 90s. Oh yeah, we're just talking about what's been referenced, and Wikipedia is just basically somebody's just written a list of media that they like. I don't think Akira had. I mean, I can see where Akira may have influenced Hideo Kojima. I will give you that. And I can see where it influenced Final Fantasy VII because it was kind of like a few years before, and the cyberpunk trend was a big deal in early 90s Japan. Like, that was an influential thing. Maybe it was also influencing Sonic. I don't know. I can also probably say Cyberpunk 2077. But, like, you're pushing it with some of these fucking references, man. Sonic 3 is definitely taking checks from Akira. I kind of like the Batman. Like, there are some MCU stuff in the list that say that Akira referenced. And I think anything that's animated and in a kind of dystopian kind of cyberpunk, like, I can get it. I can understand if it was Batman, because like Gotham City and stuff. I can see it in my brain. Like Neo Tokyo, Gotham City. They could be friends. Don't know where my head's at with that. But yeah. But yeah, what I will do is I will put a list of media that kind of is somewhat similar or can like tangentially connected to Akira. I'll make a list and put it on the old Discord. But yeah, I think generally, I think it is just oh my god, there's a pinball simulator for Akira. What the fuck? What? Is that real? That's not real. There's an Akira Psycho Ball pinball simulator that came out on PS2. And I want it. That sounds amazing. I want to play a pinball simulator. Is that real? New speedrun game. It looks like they were all cancelled. There was an Akira adventure game for the Famicom, another Akira game for the Jaguar, Super NES, Genesis, and Sega CD developed but cancelled, and along with prospects of another Akira title for Game Boy and Game Gear. International Computer Entertainment produced a video game based on Akira for the Amiga and Amiga CD32 to coincide with DVD release. Bandai release. It is actually a real thing. The pinball game is real. But it's a PS2 game. Where did I find that? I don't have a PS2 emulator. Fascinating. That's new information. Didn't know that. Anyway. Apparently it was banned in Russia, along with Happy Tree Friends and Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. apparently the film posed possible damage to children's health and psychological development, according to the Russians. In 2021, they banned it, and Akira was banned in Russia. Oh, and this is another interesting one. The film was one of the 4 nominees for the 2007 American Anime Awards Best Anime Feature Award. Guess what movie it lost out to? Can you guess what it is? It was Advent Children. The fuck? 2007? The American Anime Awards is weird. Maybe there was a DVD release, but like I don't... How does that even make sense? Also, Advent Children is bad. What? I don't know what to take from that either. So, yeah. I feel like I've just rambled. I feel like we're gonna do a structured kind of approach, but I think I've covered most things I was gonna say. I feel like we didn't talk about the movie as much as I thought I was gonna talk about the movie. But I also really do want people, if you haven't seen it, to go watch it, because it's really fucking cool. It's, as we've said, they've been trying to make a live action in America for it, so there's a lot of love there. I feel like that reflects on how many people kind of want to make this happen, even if it's the stupidest idea in the world, because making a live action remake of this movie seems like the stupidest, even not the movie, the manga and such. Hey MTE, we're talking about Akira and we keep going off on tangents. Like, I hate Ready Player One, and Michael Fassbender. But yeah, it's a seminal piece of cinema. If you haven't seen it, the bike is one of the main characters in the movie. Missed 89% of it. Never seen it. Just gonna say good movie. It's an amazing movie, and I think it's one of those, like I say, it's ranked 170 on the Letterboxd rankings, like, of all movies. All the ratings have been collated together, and it's in that. It's number 170 of the movies that you should see. And I will say this, a lot of... I think Letterboxd kind of has a recency bias. So I think, apart from the really big movies from the past, like the really significant ones, you do get a lot of, like, the top 100. I mean, Blade Runner is not even in the top 200. What? Blade Runner is not in the top 250. I'm annoyed now. I'm really annoyed. Yeah, but I do think that it does have a recency bias. Blade Runner is not in the Letterboxd top 250. But I will say that Letterboxd also... Yeah, sorry. I've been using Wikipedia as a backlight. Yeah, Letterboxd does like foreign movies though. So like, yeah, it is. Well, this is it. So I think it's amazing, but I think so. Kind of coming back down to my general opinion. My opinion is that it's... You think it could be more... Oh, wow. Okay, because that's like the opposite. I think it could have gone on longer. So we've been saying, obviously it's based on a manga, which is 6 volumes long. Each of those mangas are like 100 and something over 100 chapters each. It's not the longest manga that ever existed. The fact that it's a very nice, compact 6-volume manga means that it's practically a limited run, although it did run from 1982 to 1990, so it ran over 8 years, 6 volumes. It's pretty big. There aren't any gags, and I've also mentioned, to my satisfaction, the female characters are not sexualized or feminine in any way. They're just good characters. So if you're looking for an anime with big booba, it ain't there. There's nothing like it doesn't do the general appealing to the masses kind of thing. It's a very specific vibe. Yeah, there is. I think it is kind of there is a bit more. Yeah, well, I think um so Kaori, for anybody who's not aware, she doesn't actually go on. She doesn't die like that in the the manga. She's actually I can't remember the exact phrase that they use for her, but she's Tetsuro's sex buddy slave, and she lives with him in the hospital or whatever for a bit. I think she gets shot at one point. So different situation for Kaori entirely. But yeah, sex is a bit more discussed and but I do like that obviously with the anime and the movie and stuff. He's actually a main character in the manga. He is alive and well. He's trotting around. He's just a totally different entity. He's yeah, there's a harem, yeah. It's different vibes entirely. And there's a lot more like there's a lot more conspiracy, there's a lot more intrigue, there's shit ton more plot. Um she she doesn't have a good time either. Like in the movie like I think her movie counterpart gets a much raw like worse deal. She Kaori in the movie gets beaten the shit out of and then crushed by uh, Tetsuo in a really gruesome way. So yeah. So yeah, and I think the thing is, the movie does the kind of it's you kind of have to take it's almost like based on rather than it is a remake or an adaptation because it takes the core plot points from the manga and twists them into a different slightly like an uncanny valley version of the narrative. It takes the basic tenets of what's happening in the manga and just makes it into a movie and there's action, there's adventure, there's a shit ton of stuff happening and there's a propulsion through the movie that just keeps you going with the action and I think a lot of it yeah, it's so much more vibes and I think the movie's great for that, but I think if you don't have the context of the manga and as I say, we watched half of it in Japanese dub and then we watched the rest of it in English dub after the midway point. We watched like literally an hour and then it's a 2 hour movie. So we switched to the English dub just so that we could have a conversation while we were watching it and most of it was what's going on here? And I think if you take the movie as it is, like just as vibes, and you don't know any of the context of what's going on and you can't follow what's going on. I watched the movie first. So I but the thing with the movie is and I think my main complaint when I originally watched the movie was I hated the ending. I really hated the ending. I hated the ending of the movie so much when I first watched it. I just kind of went, is that it? And I fucking hated it. But this is it. And as I've grown and I've come to appreciate the movie and I've watched it a few more times and I know the context with the manga, I actually prefer the ending. Like, I've not actually finished the manga. I never finished the manga, but I know what happens at the end. I actually prefer the movie and the end of the movie and what they did with the movie and how they kind of yeah, I just like I like if you ask me if I didn't finish the manga because I just got annoyed with it and couldn't be bothered. And I think me and my sister parted ways and she kept the manga and I just never asked for it. I just didn't want to finish it. I got fed up with it. Whereas the movie I think is amazing and I'd watch a million times again because I think it's really fucking cool. So that's my opinion. And again, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I realize now that the end of the movie is actually like She's always keeping my shit, man. um, she's got the volumes at home. She's got them somewhere. I mean, they are technically hers. She paid for them with her money. I think I got her some for her birthday at one point. It was, but like, let me read it. Yeah, I did read some of it, but I never finished it, and I never felt inclined to because I just didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the movie. So I think that was where I ended up with it. It was like, I like the manga. It's doing a different thing. It's a lot more in depth. There's a lot more intrigue. There's a lot more characters. There's a lot more exposition. And I just kind of love the pared down, stripped down version of the streamlined version of the plot. That, like, as we've just said, like, quite frequently, it's just vibes, man. And if you enjoy the vibes and you go with the vibes and just appreciate the artistry that is happening in front of you, and you like screaming, Tetsuo, Canada! You just go with those vibes, man. You follow your bliss, and it's really fucking enjoyable for me. But again, I think it can alienate a lot of people. I think it can be confusing. I think it's challenging, but I think it's challenging in a way that the best media kind of is. I think it kind of makes you think, it makes you ask questions, but ultimately you just walk away from it thinking, I've experienced something. And every time I watch it, I always think, that was an experience that I enjoyed. And if people don't enjoy it, that's fine. But it is generally considered one of those movies that you have to watch before you die. It's definitely like worth experiencing at least once, because I think, again, it's an anime that it's done in such a way that's just so, yeah. Huh? What? Who's that? What just happened? The hairline, yeah, Tetsuo's receding hairline. I mean, of course he's got an inferiority complex. His hair's shit. He's got a forehead the size of freaking tombstone. He's of course. Yeah, and he's just jealous. Like, and I do like that it just kind of boils down to they're best friends, but they're also like there's that jealousy. There's maybe his head's just like that because he's got latent psychic powers hidden inside. But I think that the relationship between it ultimately does boil down to the relationship between Tetsuo and Canada, and Tetsuo wanting Canada's bike because that's important. But yeah, Tetsuo's got an inferiority complex. But I think everybody's always felt like an outsider. But then it comes down to Tetsuo also has the capacity for infinite possibilities. So it's like there is something in there, man. I just find it really interesting. I don't want to draw any conclusions that, you can draw yourself, but like Tetsuo was bullied, Tetsuo felt ostracized and left out, maybe a bit incel, maybe a bit weird. Didn't treat Kaori right. But yeah. Yeah, and it depends. Like, and again, I think I mentioned the movie Brightburn earlier, and it's like, what happens if somebody does get infinite power and ultimately has, isn't a genuinely good person. But yeah, and Canada came from the same place, the same world, the same fractured society, but is a good guy. It's weird actually because I've been watching. I just said I watched Superman, and it did make me think of Superman quite a lot. Like when I was watching it, because obviously Tetsuo has his psychic powers. He goes out into the streets, blows a bunch of shit up. Everybody's like ah, and then he puts a cape on, and he's got massive psychic powers, and he's attacking the army and stuff, and everybody thinks he's a superhero. And I think it's like Brightburn, it's Superman, it's like people will follow that because they see themselves in this person who's just obtained a massive amount of power, and it's like what happens when that person, another, like, I think it was in the list of influenced movies, but Chronicle is a movie. It's like a live action movie that's kind of like a comic book. It's about teenage boys. They crawl into I don't know, a hole where there was a meteor that's landed. It's a young Michael B. Jordan, I think. I need to check the cast. Um, it's really good. It's got Dane DeHaan. Dane DeHaan is basically Tetsuo. And then there's another guy, and then there's Michael B. Jordan, and they're like three friends. They get psychic powers. They can fly. They can use telekinesis. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, maybe this is what happens when Lex Luthor gets psychic powers. Yeah, it is Michael B. Jordan. I'm so happy I remembered that. And it does say that Akira is and Carrie are its influences. Um, yeah, this is hilarious though, because the guy that directed Chronicle basically made the closest thing to a live action Akira in my brain right now. Um, he he went on to direct Fantastic Four Stick or whatever it was, and he got sacked for just being an absolute waste of space. He made a really good movie, Chronicle, and then they gave him like a big ass movie, and he just locked himself in his trailer and got high and got stressed out and couldn't handle the pressure and basically got sacked from that job. And yeah, he has his own issues basically. I think that was him. Yeah, yeah, that was Josh Trank. Anyway, Michael B. Jordan. I think he's just trying to not be Michael Jordan. Michael B. Jordan is one of the greatest actors of our generation. Shut up. Oh my god, he's 38. Okay, he's like in his 30s. Oh shit. He was in a movie called Sinners this year, which I really want to see. I also enjoyed him in all of the Creed movies. I think he's trying to not do basketball. I think his passion is acting. But yeah. Michael, to be or not to be Jordan? He's trying to be his own man. He's definitely put the B in there just so that he can differentiate him from But yeah, he's making a point of apparently he was born to he was born to Michael A. Jordan and Donna. I assume Jordan. He's so cool. I love Michael B. Jordan. But yeah, he is apparently like a co-owner of the Premier League football club AFC Bournemouth. Apparently, celebrities just love buying into football clubs in the UK at the minute. It actually stands for Bakari. Michael Jordan is an actor. He was in Space Jam. He's a legitimate actor. Yeah, I think it is. Well, yeah, so I guess you can't. Yeah, because that's why Emma Stone is Emma Stone. Her actual name is Emily, but I guess she had to change it to Emma Stone because of that rule in the Screen Actors Guild wherein you can't have the same name as somebody else. Everybody has to have their own individual names. I don't think that would be a problem for my name. I don't think there's many ham fruitcakes out there. Do you think that's why Lady Gaga is just called Lady Gaga? Because, like, somebody's called Steffi. I don't know. Just kind of reading things out loud right now. Daffy Duck. You want to speak about Lady Gaga? Tell me about Lady Gaga. Let's go off on some more tangents. Let's not talk about Akira. No, I didn't make it to Coachella this year. I'm sorry. Whoa. Yeah, she's dedicated, man. She is a dedicated performer. She is actually, like, super cool. I actually, like, totally rate Lady Gaga. Don't like all of her movies, because whatever. But, like, she's having, like, a renaissance at the minute. She's like, I'm going back to music and I'm gonna fucking smash it. Respect. Yeah, Joker too. She was like, I'm out. That was a good idea, but Margot Robbie's the only Harley Quinn that ever needs to exist. So in my brain. I don't know what James Gunn's gonna do though. So yeah, speaking of DC, um, yeah. Go on, tell me who the actual best Harley Quinn is. Go on. Fight me. Margot Robbie. You know I gave Arlene Sorkin. Who? Um, who? He's fighting me. Who's that? She is the real life inspiration and voice for DC Comics character Harley Quinn. She's dead now. She was in Days of Our Lives? The original actor. Ah. Ah. She was married to Christopher Lloyd? She dressed as a jester in Days of Our Lives. That is so fucking cool. The season 4 finale of Harley Quinn TV series was dedicated to Sorkin. Dedication plaque to her and castmate Kevin Conroy featured as an Easter egg in the video game that nobody played. Kevin Conroy is Batman. Okay, well I've just seen this name. Kevin Conroy. He's the animated guy. Okay. I watched the animated series, but I was more of an X-Men. I watched the X-Men more than I watched the Batman. Kevin is Batman. Okay. It's a generational thing. I can see that. Oh, man. Who's your favorite Superman? Don't say Henry Cavill. I'll fight you. Okay, let's have a look. just general. Just who's your favorite Superman? And why is it Tom Welling? I just need to know. The animated series. Who is Lex Luthor? Hang on. Nicolas Cage. He wanted to be Superman. I'm not sure Nicolas Cage is like an alternate universe. Right? Nicolas Cage never actually played. This is an Easter egg. This is like a joke, right? Lex Luthor isn't in the animated series. He played Superman in the terrible Flash movie for 2 seconds. No. Did I watch The Flash? I think I didn't. I chose not to watch it, like, for a moral perspective, because I didn't want to give them money for casting Ezra Miller and keeping it Ezra Miller in the movie, and I didn't want to go see it. So it was the last movie I saw before my baby came out and the cinema closed down the road. I had a choice to see one movie before the cinema closed, and it was either The Flash or the movie that was a jukebox movie for Take That songs called Greatest Days, and it was about a bunch of women who go see a concert about Take That and some shit, and it was like either I can see The Flash or the weird Take That movie. Nah, I saw the Take That movie. It was a choice. I was very pregnant. My mother was so happy with me. But yeah. It was based off a screening he did for the Tim Burton one. Okay, so he was like gonna get cast, but he never, yeah. He was in a episode or 100 of Superman. Right, I'm looking at Batman, that's what I'm looking at. Batman! My kid is watching Super Spider Friends or some shit right now. Batman and Superman Adventures? Superman the animated series. Okay. Lex Luthor. There is no voice cast here. Ah. Oh, here we go. Lex Luthor. Clancy Brown. Oh, shit. Clancy Brown has done some random ass shit, hasn't he? There was a movie I watched with Clancy Brown in. And it had, what's her name? Blue Steel. He was so fucking fit in that movie. Oh my god. It was like an awakening of some kind. Although, yeah. Yeah, okay. What are we talking about? He's Mr. Krabs. It's Jamie Lee Curtis. There's serial killer. She gets assaulted for no fucking reason. It was directed by Catherine Bigelow. Is not a good movie. Clancy Brown. Wow. Okay. So you're dicking about with the Lex Luthor. That's fine. No, the Superman. I just really like the Superman movie. I watched an interview with the actor today, and he was talking about how deeply uncomfortable the Superman suit made him, and it takes 8 minutes to get him out of the suit. I can't remember how many minutes it took them to get him in the suit, but apparently it was like it took him a while to get the suit off. So every time he got really nervous, he's such a theater kid, he would sing "Hello Dolly." And I don't know why, but I found that incredibly endearing, and it just like encapsulated, like, I was like, that's actually what Superman would do. Like, he would sing "Hello Dolly." The guy they've got to play Superman in this new movie is just like, he's just the right dude. He's so cute. I don't like Cavill. Christopher Reeve. I need to watch the Christopher Reeve Superman. I need to watch 1978. We were talking about Dragon Ball Z. No PB, messed up a boss twice, and another boss once. Dude, sub 2 hours is still pretty cracking. GG's. GG's McSwirls. So McSwirls is speedrunning Clarobscuro Expedition 33. I guess I should be wrapping up now because I only said I'd do 2 hours. It's 13 minutes, but it's still faster than me. They were putting the suit on in the phone booth still. Yeah, it took them 8 minutes. I don't know how much talcum powder they used to get them in and out, but yeah. So the next stream, I'm gonna do some Expedition 33 speedruns. Brandon Ruth is good. He's good in Legends of Tomorrow. I like Brandon Ruth. He is actually very good. Yeah, like we talked about Akira a little bit. We had fun. We tried. Let's say telling me to stay on topic for this long is impossible. Never gonna happen. So I think for what we said and what we talked about, I say good going, guys. We did it. We tried to talk about Akira for 2 hours and only got distracted for most of that time. If you're new to the channel, I'm Ham Fruitcake. I usually speedrun video games, but we do like to talk about movies. You keep saying Akiba. Who's Akiba? I don't know. I'm just letting you say it. It's Dakoba's evil twin. Yeah. May we never meet him. Unless Akiba is taken. Never mind. That's a different movie for a different time. So the next... Right, what am I saying? Next week I'm going to be doing Clarobscuro speedruns. I'm hooking it up. I'm going for it. I'll do Act 1 speedruns. Yeah, it's got a bigger forehead because of all the evil inside of it. Stop distracting me. So yeah, next week or whenever I do my next stream, it's going to be Act 1 speedruns for Clarobscuro Expedition 33, console, glitchless, Act 1 speedruns. We'll see how far I get. I'm feeling confident. And then if that goes well and I'm happy, the stream afterwards, I'll do some full runs. So I'm just making you aware, if you don't want any spoilers, Dakota finish the game. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Do whatever you want, man. It's fine. Don't leave me. So that's what we're doing next. That's the next project that I'm going to be working on. I'll be doing Act 1 speedruns, which you've done Act 1, so don't worry. No rush. And then we'll do some, if I feel confident with Act 1, I'll go on to do some full run. It'll probably be like one full run on the next stream. I'll let you know well ahead of time. The next movie night is gonna be August. August is my birth month. So I feel like, because this is a Final Fantasy domain for the most part, I'm thinking, I'm debating. I'm debating whether or not to just make you all watch Spirits Within or put it up for a vote, which will inevitably mean that we're going to watch Advent Children. It's my birth month. Yeah. I'm going to be another year older. God help me. So yeah, because it's a celebration of my brain. This is all me. I don't even know why I'm saying that. We'll do Final Fantasy movies. I'm alright. Just drinking wine and not talking about Akira for 2 hours. So yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah, I'm still mid-20s. It's fine. I never said I was in my 30s. If you've not joined the Discord, please join the Discord. We'll be posting in the movie night channel. We also do our Wordles in there. I post regular pictures of Pedro Pascal. We just dick about in there mostly. It's a lot of fun. Please do join in. I will be putting up information about the next movie night on there. And yeah, if you do Wordle, I think it's pretty good for that. I really want to say something like really interesting and profound to finish this off, but I guess what I'll do is I'll start getting a raid going and I'll send you somewhere, which is probably going to be a speedrun of some description because that's the only people that I follow. Tetsuo! Canada! Where do you want to go? Should I drop you off in the Tommy Wisso's The Room? Where do we go? You want to go to bed. That's good. I think that's a good call. Honestly, Masamasa's just about to finish off an 8 run, so could watch that, fall asleep, I reckon. Unless he's finished. No, he's just about to go into Ultimatia's castle. I think that's good. We'll go see Masamasa. Yeah. Erinnor's on. Oh, I didn't know Erinor was on. Go see Masamasa if you want, but I'll drop you off with Erinor if Erinor is on. That is Erinor. No, MT's on. Sorry, MT's doing speedruns. I've been supporting him. I'm going to drop you off with him. Mixed Worlds is already there. We'll go with MT. If you're not following MT, give him a follow. He does speedrun every now and again. Also, he came and said hi, so it's only fair. I'm telling you all my logic and thoughts. So, thank you for joining. Thank you for the conversation. I appreciate you guys sitting with me. I usually speedrun, and it means that I'm doing something as well as sitting gabbing my face off. But today it's just been me gabbing my face off. So just chatting. And I appreciate you guys for sitting with me for this long. I genuinely can't believe that we had so much fun. I really did enjoy it. So we'll do it again sometime. It's going to be a Final Fantasy movie. As I say, I don't know which one I'm going to bully you into watching, but it's going to be either I bully you into watching Spirits Within or you bully me into watching Advent Children. It's going to go one of two ways, and because it's my birth month, we'll find out together. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out. If you're going to bed, yeah, now you know everything. You know Michael Fassbender's whole life story, as well as Akira. We had so much fun. Take care of yourselves. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you for sitting with me. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you for giving me your time. I appreciate you guys so fucking much. Tetsuo! yeah, we'll see. Don't you call me elder. I think you guys are great. Enjoy it. See you later. Have a brilliant rest of your day. Bye.